Right, hi, I am Mark from Stepping Into the Unknown, and I am joined again by the lovely Jasmine Rook.
Hello.
And this week we are doing the second trilogy in the Edge Chronicles, the Twig trilogy. Now, for those of you who do not know, the Edge Chronicles is a series of books filled with pretty much every fantasy creature you can imagine. And then with airships, wizards... Oh no, not wizards.
No, there is an abundant lack of wizards.
There is an abundant lack of wizards. I've never come across that fact before.
Actually, thinking about it, there isn't really any magic, is there?
No, which for a fantasy series is odd and something we should have brought up previously.
Well, we've brought it up now.
We've brought it up now, right. Before we wander off on any more tangents, we are going to go into the books. So, Jasmine, would you like to start us off with a brief summary of each book?
Alright, so the Twig trilogy, which is actually the second, chronologically speaking, the second trilogy, but the first trilogy actually written by Stuart and Riddell. It starts off with Beyond the Deep Woods, so your Twig is kind of like raised, as it were, in the Deep Woods by various other creatures, and it's basically him discovering who he is.
And it's also a good opportunity for him to explore pretty much every different aspect of the Deep Woods, isn't it?
Oh,
he ends
pretty
up
much.
in all of them, doesn't he?
Pretty much every walk of life of the Deep Woods is explored and discovered in this book, which is good because actually not much don't really go back to the Deep Woods until probably by Freak later in the third trilogy. But anyway, so it really well establishes the lore. Then in Storm... Okay, you're going to have to forgive me, I haven't read these books for a while, but in Storm Chaser, I'm pretty certain he becomes the captain of his father's airship, is it?
I'm pretty certain he ends up working on Quint's ship, because Quint's still around at that point, isn't he?
Oh, of course he is, yes.
They go on the final storm chasing voyage that they were supposed to all those years ago.
And then it's in the last book that he becomes captain of the ship. And he has to save Sanctifrax.
Because it's about to fly away, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was about to crash downwards. It was about to fly upwards.
No.
You can tell we haven't read these in a while.
It's okay. The Twig trilogy is where it's flying upwards and they have all the extra chains attached.
Yes, it is.
The Rook trilogy where it crashes.
Yes, you're totally right.
Sanctifrax cannot make it mind. It's up and it's down and it's up. Anyway.
So in that one, he goes all the way to the ends of the world. Is it in River Rise, which is further than anyone's ever been in this world before. And then manages to literally launch himself back.
I was going to say fires himself across the world.
Pretty much just like human cannibal style, which is pretty awesome. So these were the first books I actually read when reading the is this a saga? It's not a saga. Series.
I don't know. At this point, saga's probably fair.
Saga. So
I was going to say there's lots of books.
There's so many. So so these were the first ones I read, and these got me into it properly. I fell in love with these books.
Yeah, I was going to say, I will add that Beyond the Deep Woods, yes, I love it for exploring, just one part of the Edge Chronicles world, and it is so vastly detailed, it's amazing. Storm Chaser, is very much Twig focused, it's him meeting his dad, kind of trying to prove himself.
And it's interesting to know that his dad, Quint, obviously they wrote Storm Chasers before the Quint trilogy. So it's interesting seeing how they went back and then built up his character to this really sort of... Because you know how I was saying in the last one about how Quint's character progression from...
We get to see it a little bit more, don't we?
And then when you get to Storm Chaser, even though this is written before all of those ones, you could definitely tell he's basically very much become his own father.
Oh, yes.
I love the parallels between that.
Yes. So, right... Next, we want... why you love these authors. We discussed this last time, but I think we should probably go into a bit more depth about it this time.
So I went on a little bit of a rant about ease of accessibility, didn't I?
Yeah.
I think I spoke a little bit about really good character progression, but what we didn't talk about enough last time, which we've just tapped on now, is the wizards. The wizards. The lack of wizards.
No.
I mean, the actual lore itself and the universe that they've built. I don't think we quite got across enough in the Quint trilogy just how massive and detailed these worlds are. They've just thought of everything, really, haven't they? They've got
they have
entire
whole world sorted,
ecosystems of completely made up stuff. Just all spread out for you. It's amazing.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, the first book, Beyond the Deep Woods, as we mentioned, explores the Deep Woods themselves. But as the trilogy progresses, we find that despite a whole book focused in one area of the book, we haven't learned all there is about it. There is still more to learn.
Oh, yes.
And this is true for every single part of the world. And also, might have to cheat here and go a little bit into the future, but also, as the series, as a whole progresses, this world evolves and changes.
Oh, very much
I mean,
so,
the
yeah.
Deep Woods, ends up, quite different in the future.
Oh, God, yeah, it's very much rural and completely, uncontrollable and wild in the first two trilogies. And then, in the third trilogy, and now, as we've only just discovered, a fourth trilogy is being written, it's changed now, isn't it?
It has.
But yeah,
there's more on that later. We won't spoil
more on that later.
We won't spoil too much. But yes, this world is more than vibrant and full of detail. It is alive and it changes. So that is one more reason why I love these authors.
Yeah. And Riddell's illustrations as well. You just feel like you're right in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really, it's just really immersing. Immersing, is that a word? Immersive. Immersive.
Submersible. There we go. You're a literary submarine.
One of those words. Oh, God.
Right. Why do you think people should read this trilogy, Jasmine?
We kind of discussed it on why I love the author / illustrator.
But why this trilogy specifically?
This is where the world really opens up. With the if you're going to read it in terms of canon chronology, not when it was written. The quintrilogy, it kind of allures to this otherworldly area, and once you hit the trilogy, it just completely opens up. There are all these cultures and species that you're all kind of introduced to. You really do. Can't. Maybe that comes to show how much I love this. I just words. No, I would just say that the depth that these go into, but they don't skip out on the character development.
No, not the slightest.
Even from beginning to end of just Beyond the Deep Woods, the first book, you can tell that Twig has developed and grown as a character in terms of, because he's raised among wood trolls, I believe, right? And they have a very strict traditional view of how you do things.
And he keeps stepping outside of his role. He
steps out, but it develops from curiosity to bravery, and then you can see those traits pulled across into the other books. You definitely relate to him as well, his sort of sense of being lost and helpless in this world of scary things. Particularly thinking about it, as this is aimed at young adults, that would be a big parallel for you, because the whole as you grow up, you're kind of thrown into the deeper end of life and stuff like that, and it's exactly the same for Twig.
Yep.
He's a very relatable character, and I would say for those two reasons, that's probably why I would recommend reading these. Yeah,
I think for me it's got to be, having read these chronologically myself, going from the Quint trilogy to the Twig trilogy, and not only do you get to meet a whole new cast of brilliant characters, you then come across new characters as well. No, sorry, that's not right. Old characters as well. Specifically, we've already talked about Quint, but there's others, there's the Professors of Light and Darkness. You run into them.
Oh yes.
You get to learn a little bit more about the Flight Stones and the Rock Gardens. And perhaps one of both my favourites and my saddest ones has got to be the Knight Who Walks the Mire.
Oh,
the one who collects the toes.
You see him go off in the Winter Nights, don't you? And then he disappears for 3 books. And then he turns
back,
up.
Yeah, and that's, just the fact that you can still come across these characters and, watch them evolve as well.
Oh, definitely.
It's sad in his case, but it's still fascinating to be able to do.
The best thing about these books is you don't feel like you're reading an individual book. You feel like you're reading a chapter of a much larger tale. And
Definitely.
It feels just like one continuous book, and you're just glancing at the insides of it. That's how well smoothly it transitions.
Okay, right. So, any closing remarks for this trilogy?
I would say this would be a really good one, both to start with and to read after the Quint trilogy. You could kind of do it either way, just because of the way that they've been written, because they have to accommodate for the fact that the Quint trilogy is beforehand, but the Twig trilogy was written first, and some audiences will have read it first. You can read them in any order you like. So you can start with the Twig trilogy, you can read the Quint trilogy. I would just say get reading these things, because you'll just find yourself lost for ages. It's wonderful.
It's a really good point, actually, because you could pretty much I mean, obviously it was nice having this background knowledge, but you could just pick this up and
Oh yeah, definitely.
pick any book you choose to start with.
The Rook trilogy less so, but definitely between the Twig and the Quint trilogy, they're so like independent from the books, but also like so well slotted into the universe. You can read them in whatever order you particularly like, really. So on that note, just pick these things up and read them. They're wonderful.
Read the books. Books are good. For my closing remarks, I'd like to say this is a fantasy series that encapsulates all the feeling and grandeur of magic. But as we have ourselves discovered today, there's no magic in it. There's no magic. There's no wizards. There's none of it. But it still feels magical.
Oh, definitely.
Which is both... It's creepy and at the same time amazing.
It's weird. I have never thought about it until now.
There we go. See, revelations even for us. Even after having read these books back to front, we've realised there's no magic in it, but these books are magical.
Definitely.
Right, I think we will leave it there. We have rambled enough for one day, but hopefully we'll be back soon with the Rook trilogy, which we have hinted at now, but will continue as we go.
Yes.
Thank you. Please enjoy.